We are live on the Galaxy One Show with the incredible with Leo and Eric from Power Rangers Masterforce. So, thank you guys for joining my show, by the way, Eric and Kris. I just want to say first up, Power Rangers Masterforce has done such an incredible job with season 1 so far. What are you guys liking about Power Rangers Masterforce? Like, if you guys could give any thoughts or opinions, what has changed your life about Power Rangers Masterforce so far?
You want to go first, Jim, or should I?
You go first, man.
All right. Well, one thing I feel like is very unique about this Power Rangers series in particular, even amongst all the other shows. As much as Power Rangers Masterforce deals with a team that is at war with, of course, the forces of evil, external threats, and all of that, they've also got to deal with the damages this kind of fight is dealing to them. Not only their connections as a family, as a fellowship, but also what it's doing to them. Like it's very much equally a battle for the world as it is a battle for their souls. And that's something I don't think any other show quite gets down as much as Masterforce does. And I think that's what really makes this show special. And that's all owed to the acting and Alan's writing right there. So, yeah.
Well, do you have any thoughts or opinions, Eric?
I do. And I greatly agree with Kris. In that, I've been looking through different lores of Power Rangers since I haven't been able to watch all of them yet. I think it was in Power Rangers Time Force, I think it was, where they really delved into anger issues, body image, and things like that. And I feel like the team and the cast and crew that we have on with Masterforce, we bring a lot to the table and a lot of different ideas, and some hard-hitting stuff that happens. I mean, between the infighting that happens between some of the characters as they're building and growing in their relationships, between whether it's me and Leo, or Heather and Jay, or Angela and Jay, or anybody else who's ever dealt with inner conflict. With that, we're able to bring that in a live stuff that we do, and I personally love it, and I feel like a lot of people can relate.
So we'll dive right into the very first question. So you guys were first introduced as an LGBT couple in season 1, known as Leo and Eric. What has the most experience been like getting to represent the LGBT community, and what has it meant to you?
Well, I feel like it's definitely a new kind of role for me, because I've never ever, I can't really say I've ever played a character that represents more beyond the character's own self, or beyond even just the story. Like, we're out here actually giving representation to something with our characters and our stories, and it's being done in a way that no other thing in Power Rangers has done before. I mean, like, Leo and Eric are the first male LGBT couple ever put in a Power Rangers story, and Jim kills it with his role as Eric. I do my best to follow through and represent that as well. So it's not really like a kind of thing where it's like pressure, but it's so really, really cool, and you can never, for me at least, I can never quite fully grasp that, and I feel I get it more. I feel like I grasp it more and more as it goes on, just how meaningful this role probably is to some people, and how meaningful the relationship between Leo and Eric is. And that's why it's not only so fun but so powerful to be able to play a character like that in a relationship like that, in a show like that. It's just something else, man, and it's kind of beyond words.
Do you want to say anything, Jim?
Yeah. First off, I want to really thank Kris's role that he played with me, because I didn't realize how much we were gonna mesh so well with each other. I mean,
Yeah.
we're both, pretty hetero, me mostly. When Alan first introduced me to the character, he found me in another gaming group, and he's like, "Hey, I know that you really dig LGBTQ morals and values and uh, that lifestyle. I need someone to play a certain role. Would you be cool to play it?" And I was like, "I've never played a role like that before, but sure, I'd love to do it." And after working with Kris and Alan together to try to figure out our roles and how we really do this, the main things that I wanted to do and to really show the audience and really show everybody out there that we're not here to over sexualize it. We're not here to be super flamboyant and hey. And I'm not hating on anybody who's like that, but I wanted to show everybody like we're normal people. We're normal people in a normal relationship. We're basically best
Yeah.
friends because we have grown up together in this storyline that are in love with each other. We're best friends that are in love with each other. And that's where I'm really honored to be able to do this role and still be able to throw in things like flirting, heartbreak, fighting, and at the end of the line, we're still there for each other. We may not always agree on certain things, like most relationships do, but still be able to, I hear you. This is where you're coming from. I'm gonna do my best to meet you halfway in that.
Well, for my very next question, I have to say, I love the costumes, by the way, like that Alan's design. Was it your choice to choose the color design that you both wanted for Leo and Eric?
I think it was gold and green from the beginning for both of us, right?
Yeah, it was. We were presented that we were going to do the gold and the green, and personally, green is one of my favorite colors. So it was really easy to fall into. And knowing that I was going to be the son of Mac Viridian, loved it even more. I thought it was a perfect match for him. I was able to play that character. Kris, did Alan let you mess with that at all?
Well, a bit, but like from the beginning, gold was the choice for Leo because he's sort of the leader of the team, so he got gold, and like I love gold. I mean, like I've loved it ever since I became obsessed with Egypt and Egyptian mythology and Egyptian iconography. Like their use of gold is amazing. So I'm just kind of like, the second I found out I was the Gold Ranger, it's like, okay, time to rock this thing. Let's go.
Well, for my very next question, so because season 2 is coming up, what can people expect to see between the relationship for Leo and Eric? And what would you both like to see for season 2?
You want to take this one first, Jim, or should I?
I'll do it first.
All right.
So, if people have already caught up with the story so far, we are future Eric and Leo. So we've already come from a horribly messed up future, and that's why Kris plays an awesome alter ego Batman in this series. Things are darker. Things are we've gone through so much more than what season 2 is going to go through, in the sense of like they've lost everybody. I feel like season 2 is going to be, how to explain this? It's a thing I like to use, call NRE, or new relationship energy. We're younger. We haven't developed a lot, as far as the relationship goes, but we're starting to fall in love with each other. There's going to be way more laughs. Probably not as serious, even though we're going to have battling some super baddies here real soon, but we're still going to go through. It's still going to be a softer tone Leo and Eric, triumphs, failures,
Spring allergies, man. I got them too.
Dying slowly. But I think it's overall going to be lighter hearted and really going to see where we're going to grow. As you didn't get to see that in season 1, you're going to now see that in season 2.
Kris, do you have any opinions about that?
Jim pretty much nailed it right there. What I'm definitely looking forward to in season 2, and what I hope happens, of course, even going beyond just Leo and Eric, Masterforce is, I feel like one of the central themes of Masterforce is love, like not just the love between Leo and Eric, but also the love that brings the Power Rangers together. And I feel like as they're trying to save the world and as they're trying to battle all these tremendous evils without becoming like the monsters they face, that love is what keeps them in the free and clear. Because with Leo in season 1 anyway, he is trying to save a world that he's also become somewhat disgusted by, because it's taken a lot from him and it's made him very angry, and that led him to make some mistakes. We saw a particularly egregious one he made in the last episode, if you guys are all caught up on that. So with season 2, it's largely going to be about redemption and not repeating those mistakes. And as always, it's going to be about compassion for people versus disgust for people and the world at large. And that's something I think we're going to see a lot of in season 2. That's something I can't wait to see a lot of in season 2. And what do I want to see? I definitely want to see more of what Leo does for Eric, because we've seen a lot in this season of what Eric does for Leo. I love to see the script get flipped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, awesome. Well, for my next question, so onto that. So what makes Leo and Eric different from like other Power Rangers in the universe?
You
I'm
first.
excited to answer. You first, or
Universal franchise, like
you
whatever.
first? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you
you
first, or
you explain it.
all right. Well, Leo is definitely, Jim perfectly called him, like, what was it, like retro Batman or something like that? Yeah, like Leo was definitely inspired a bit by Batman for me anyway, like cuz like I said, we see him make a lot of mistakes, and of course so many Power Rangers deal with the mistakes because the franchise as a whole is about what you do with that kind of power. And we see Leo, he's a good person, but he makes so many of the wrong choices. But those choices come from trauma. They come from the fear of being hurt again. And and it's like because I mean, Leo is dealing with the world that he wants to save, but he's also dealing with things like PTSD and depression from everything that's happened. And that's not too unique from a lot of other Power Rangers. But what does make him unique is how so often we see him skirt so close to that dark side. And that season 2 is going to be a lot about that, is him trying not to repeat the mistakes that he made before. And I feel like that's something that's always going to be going with Leo, is dealing with that beast of darkness,
Jim, do you have anything to say about that?
Oh yeah. So anybody who's watching, have you ever worked with a significant other before? In the sense of I personally have, and I call it don't dip the pen in the company ink. Working alongside Leo as both a team member and my fiance and future husband, it's hard to separate your feelings from the mission, from your goal that you're trying to work for. And I feel like, and a bit of it we've already seen in season 1 already, to where, not afraid of talking or disagreements on certain things. in being able to separate what is more important, what we have going on, or do we need to think bigger and think more toward the team, more toward the goal in saving the day? It's really hard. It's not easy. Like when Alan rolls it out for us and we have to make that decision, like in the last episode where it was there's a good possibility one of us is going to die.
Mm.
And we have to make that sacrifice. Me internally, me as Jim, I don't want to do that. I would never sacrifice my other half. But I know that in Eric's shoes, it's no, we're in this together. We are willing to make the sacrifice for the team and the greater good. And being able to try to be able to role play that, I feel like that makes us a bit different than most other previous Power Rangers series. That partition between what you want and what's right. Type of
So on to my very next question. So could people see a possible wedding for Leo and Kris? And if so, what would you both like to see from a possible wedding if you guys could see anything?
Vegas wedding, baby. Let's go.
Who did we say who's gonna marry us?
Ooh.
Elton John.
Elton John.
Or
Elton John will marry us.
We also LeBron James was a candidate.
Yes.
It was actually, there was going to be an arc where they went to get married at a casino, but the entire Ranger team slowly develops gambling addictions, and it brings the casino to life. It turns out the casino is a dormant Zord belonging to Venjix, and it's called Los Venjix. And they spend the whole season on the run from him and the Loan Sharks.
Yes.
That's Masterforce season 2 right there.
Yes.
Jacob, I don't know this man. I don't know what he's time will tell. We will see what happens for our future. Hell, we may not even make it out alive this season 2.
This next episode is going to be big.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It will be big. Is there one happening? We will see. With most engagements, we will see. And there's definitely, wants and hopes. Big ceremonies, little ceremonies. The princess gets carried away by a giant fire-breathing lizard. Things like of that sort. We will see what happens. Everybody will have to just stay tuned.
Well, for my very next question, so why should people, to people that haven't seen Power Rangers Masterforce Season 1, why do you think people should watch Power Rangers Masterforce? Like, what makes Power Rangers Masterforce Masterforce?
You want to go first with this one, Jim?
Yeah. So, I feel like a lot of what makes Masterforce really unique, and a lot of the other YouTube groups that are out there specifically, not anything against the TV shows, but with the YouTube group, as a lot of it's worked off the cuff. And the writers and the cast behind it, we've got Alan Burns, who is our current GM right now. Our stories and the group of people that we work around are of amazing different flavor of people. You've got parents who are playing. You've got younger people, older people. I feel like Masterforce brings a lot of heart, and kind of like what Kris was saying earlier, is that we bring a lot of love behind it too, as we really put that forth, like a lot of the other online groups try to do. We try to keep it good, witty, but at the same time bring it home and keep it toward our heart as something that's going to be memorable, fun, loving, laughter, and hopefully at the end of the day we all come home.
Well, Kris, do you have anything to say about that?
I feel like the note that Jim ended so well on is actually perfect, because hopefully they all come home. You never know if they're going to come home, because they every time we see these guys, there's always another stake that is at play. There is always something that a new kind of adversary, both out there and in here, that each member is dealing with. And of course, like Jim said, you've got the family and you've got the family aspect, and they're trying not to succeed just as Rangers, but they're trying to remain functional as families as well. And I think what the real reason everybody should check out Masterforce is that it deals with the family aspect and the psychological aspect of fighting the kind of fight that Power Rangers do. And it can go any direction. It can be heartbreaking, it can be triumphant and inspiring. It goes to all those high highs and all those low lows, and it takes it with you because it's just so witty and so powerful that it sucks you in. And that's what Masterforce is, more than I feel like a lot of other Power Rangers shows right now. It's an experience. It's very much an experience, and I don't think anything else quite captures that.
So on to my very next question. This is actually just for Kris this time. So what projects are you currently working on at the moment apart from Power Rangers Masterforce?
I'll keep this brief, I promise. Aside from my YouTubing, I am in Power Rangers Unworthy. In the few upcoming episodes, I'm going to be playing a Mastodon Sentry. Power Rangers Hybrids, I'm going to be playing Lance the Blue Ranger. The comic relief character with a little going on as far as human depths go. Hidden depths, my bad. I play the demonic villain Cairo in Power Rangers Western Strike. That's coming soon. I'm going to be the enigmatic Red Emissary in Power Rangers Dark Unity, which we had so much fun collabing with, by the way. Go check those guys out. What else am I going to be? In Ancient Warriors Legacies of Olympus, I am Mightiest the Minotaur, and I think that's about it as far as the Rangers projects go, and I'm having a ton of fun with these. I had to ride that wave when I caught it, so yeah.
So on to my very next question. So how did you both get into Power Rangers in the first place? Like, what has been your most favorite memory about Power Rangers?
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, Wild Force, Power Rangers Wild Force was my induction into Power Rangers as a whole. I feel like the best memory was it was an episode in that show when all of the Red Rangers got together to take on the Machine Empire. And that to me was like, I until then, I was just a kid. I didn't realize that the Power Rangers shared a universe. And like from there, that's when I found out about the multiverse and the grid and so many possibilities. And it was just so hype. I mean, and for a childhood favorite show of mine, to know that there were no limitations is just an exquisite, magical feeling. And I love it. I loved it then, and I'm probably going to go watch the episode again when I get home. So, yeah.
Jim?
So, this might come as a shocker to some people. Before Alan brought me on to Masterforce, I've never watched a single episode. I know, I'm sorry, Chris. So, when I was a kid, I didn't have the means to watch any of the older series. And I'm 32 now. The only thing that I ever watched was the original movie, which I know some people will fight here and there to say if it was canon or not. Ooze, probably one of my favorite villains out there.
Great.
And I did watch the newest movie that just came out. Now, since then, or since I got brought on, I've watched and I've read and I've YouTubed and comic book, and I've tried my damnedest to try to catch up. But yeah, my I never had a history, unfortunately, with Power Rangers, but it brings back that same kid feeling, when we'd wake up on Saturday mornings and get our Captain Crunch and sit in front of the TV and watch it again. And now, thanks to streaming, I can have those memories now, and I can now watch it like I was a little kid all over again.
So on to our next question. So what would be your most favorite Power Rangers season of all time, and why?
Oh, Turbo by far.
Yes.
That's one of my favorites too.
No, I know Alan would kill me for that.
I was thinking the exact same thing. For me, it's a lot of great seasons, but it's got to be In Space, because that was the first, it was, they wrapped up the Zordon saga beautifully. And on top of that, they had complex characters, and it's the season where Power Rangers went from saviors of the Earth to straight up intergalactic heroes. That's when that bigger picture really started. So it's In Space for me.
On to the next question. So who would be your all-time favorite Power Rangers villain, and why?
Didn't you say it was Ivan Ooze, Jim?
Crap. So villains are my misunderstood monsters. Kris, you actually mentioned one of my favorite, or I think you mentioned Rancic.
Rancic is one of my favorites. I didn't mention him. I mentioned Venjix.
Venjix, that's right, the computer virus. Yeah, I love misunderstood monsters. Rancic was initially one of my very first that I loved, because he was, originally a pile of goo. He was a mutant. People shunned him, and so he wanted to rule that world. So he just went back to the past. But then I started looking into a bunch of the other villains, and I know a lot of people hate him a lot, but Lord Zed. I'd have to top my hat to him. He has been one of the longest running villains that I've ever seen, or that I've known through the different lores. And I think it was space. It was either space or his galaxy, to where the Z-Wave went through and purified him and what's her name? The witch lady.
Rita Repulsa?
Yeah, that's it. And purified her, and they just went back to being normal people. And I would really love to see some backstory off him, because as I've read up on him and as I've watched the shows, you don't see a lot of that backstory and that growth of where he came from. And there's a lot of fan theories that are out there with me. I'm a conspiracy theorist a little bit in that regard, and I love hearing the different things that go on. But I would have to give it to Zed first, and maybe Tripina from Lost Galaxy. But yeah, definitely give it to Zed.
Me, Venjix is a close second, but my favorite has got to be Lord Draken, and I know that's a bit of a cop out. A lot of people say it's Draken, but he's the fallen hero, you got Tommy Oliver, the greatest Power Ranger there is, and we get Lord Draken, who is basically our chance to see what happens when a Power Ranger goes bad. And this is a guy who actually does damage. I mean, whenever he's on screen or on page, he's going to, it's about to go down whenever he's around, right? And Like even when taking him down requires all the Rangers banding together, and he still incurs some losses. He's just that good. He's just that big a badass. And yeah, it's got to be Draken for me, hands down.
So let's go to our next question. So who would be your like all-time favorite top 5 Ranger team members from any seasons and why?
I can figure this out while Jim's answering the question, if you like.
I knew this, and so I've been to go through them all. Don't blush, Kris. Okay, Kris is my number 1. Because I've gotten to work with this knucklehead, and I've seen him grow as both as a person, as a character, and I love him to death. Tommy Oliver's number 2. Again, one of the most BA Power Rangers that's been out there. Again, one of the longest running ones that's been hell, even in the comic books. And I love seeing all that. Going back to my team, unfortunately, I didn't get to play with him much, but Fletcher, smart, witty. I know he's not British in the in game, but hearing some of the things that come out of his mouth, he's a great person, a great character, love him to death. Going back to the shows, hope I'm pronouncing this right. Anubis Doggy Kruger. He was an SPD, and he was the only Shadow Ranger I've ever heard of. And I got to watch, I don't know, like 5 or 7 episodes just real recently, and I love his character. He's in depth and not human, which makes it. And then last, again, Alan's gonna hate this, but Dax. Dax, our Pink Ranger, every episode tries to get himself killed, and he is full of laughter, full of emotion, and I feel like he brings to the table 110% every time he's there. And those are my top 5.
And Kris?
Top 5 I'm not sure about, but Jim Mazarek is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, like, specifically because getting to work with, like, having that childhood feeling of, I'm trying to make it with one heart. This isn't working. But yeah. Because aside from, of course, the romance, and of course, because Jim is a great guy, I mean, like, he does a really good job at playing a Power Ranger who is like, he's not too sure what's going on, and he's not going to pretend to be either, but like, he is just very good at playing a very heroic, very reassuring presence. And there's always this feeling like playing somebody as troubled as and conflicting as Leo. Like, I always get this feeling when I'm acting alongside Jim as Eric. I get this feeling of, this is what a Power Ranger is supposed to be like. This feels awesome. And Mac Daddy is great too. He is a very good mentor figure, and he's a very good, Mac is so chill as a person too, and like, he brings that to the table as Doug. My bad. Doug is so chill as a person, and he brings that to the table as Mac to make this character who makes a very good beacon of light and hope for the team. And Dax, of course, he's hilarious, and as Jim put it perfectly, he brings 110% to the table. Like, really, our whole team has this great dynamic. I'd be holding up this interview for an hour if I went on about that. I noticed in the show, like, my favorite Rangers tend to be the Red Rangers, because, like, of course, red's such an awesome color. It was my favorite character color as a kid growing up with Power Rangers. But they're the ones who have the leadership roles most of the time, and therefore they're the ones with the leadership arcs, and that is the closest you get to like the classic superhero stories, which are what I really grew up with, by the way. The Red Rangers for me come the closest to like superheroes in the setting of the grid, and they have so much to tackle as being the leaders of a team and making the decisions and being the ones that can be rallied behind, while of course dealing with their own personal struggles and arcs. It's basically like it's very much the Spider-Man thing that I love about the heroic characters.
So on to our next question. So I actually heard there could be a possibly theme song for both Eric and Leo.
On iTunes, Instagram Live, and Instagram Reels and YouTube right now. Yeah, it's out there. It's definitely, I mean, Jim, you never cry to it, right?
No, of course.
It's like, I mean,
every time I hear it.
Alan wrote it, Ashley sang it, and like we have our own voice bits in there. And it's just so I mean, like take me for instance. I've got a heart of stone, and this song uplifts me. That says something, and it's gotten tears out of more than one of our castmates. We've had our sessions and our breaks listening to the song. It is beautiful. It is lovely, and we're definitely going to be using it for some good scenes coming up. So I am so pumped for that song to get more exposure. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love it.
Any last final thoughts?
On the song?
Yeah.
I think it's horrible that my team tries to make me cry every time that we have a break and they try to implement it. Dak,
Not me.
Never. Kris would never do that to me. Yeah, when we first heard that it was going to be going on, like we got to hear it layer by layer. We got to hear instrumental. We got to hear the lyrics behind it. We got to hear our lines get to it. And I'm not joking. Every time I hear it, it is like Kris said, like I'm I'm a jerk at heart, and there's a bit of stone that's around there. And to listen to somebody put so much love and passion into this song, both in writing it, composing it, all of it, it is it's uplifting. It's uplifting. It breaks down those little stone walls, and it makes you think, maybe it's going to be okay. Maybe it's going to be a good day. And I feel like it fits me and him perfectly. And maybe it might get played for something in the future. We'll see.
So on to my very last question for you both. So what's like next for you both? And if you both could have like any hopes or expectations for season 2 coming soon for Power Rangers Masterforce, what would you both like to see for Power Rangers Masterforce and why?
You want to go first, Kris?
I am definitely waiting. I'm really excited for a particular arc coming up for Leo and Eric. And Eric and Leo are both very different characters in season 2. I don't want to give away how, but we see them undergo their changes, and we see them undergo a lot that makes them different people. And I really want to see Jim, I really want to see how you play that, because you've killed it with Eric so far, and like I want to see where you go with the range for this one. And also, I mean, like Alan is very good at leaving surprises for even us, and he's very good at leaving us guessing as well, and that's part of the fun of working on Masterforce. Particular hope of mine, another Power Rangers character I've had a lot of fun playing so far, or at least practicing playing, is the villainous Cairo, and I hope he and Leo get a showdown at some point, maybe with Lance backing Leo up, because I'd be talking to myself ×3, and like Cairo is just like, he's so soft spoken, and he's got this soft spoken demonic voice. So I'm gonna be switching in between that. That's gonna be a fun challenge for me. So if I get to do that, that'd be amazing.
And Jim, your last final thoughts?
Oh boy. What I'd like to see more in season 2 and just in Masterforce in general is more collab. We really had an amazing fun time with Dark Unity, getting to play with Elias and Greg in their roles, and that loads of fun. Our time that we get to spend with Este is always a hoot, always good, always good. But more collabs, and the reason why I want to do more collabs, and my Jim will also agree with me on this, is I would love to see an end game
Yes.
collabs before we bring in all sorts of team members and stuff like that, and it would be a pretty show. But the reason for Endgame is there's some huge big baddie that was out there that we all had to go up against, conquer the galaxy and stuff. And Alan and our new storyteller, Xanadu, she's going to be helping out a lot in season 2. I feel like both of them and other collab teams that we get with, we could create something just as epic in that style. So yeah, more collabs and thinking Endgame. I would love to see that for Masterforce.
Well, can I just say thank you so much, Jim and Kris. It's been such a pleasure both having you on the show today. Do you have like any last final thoughts that you both would like to say on the show to people?
Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this. And whether you're like just being inducted into Masterforce now, or you're about to, or you've been watching, or you just have a flickering interest, thank you so much for being a part of the journey. It means a lot to all of us, seriously.
A lot with what Kris says, you can big, you can never play too hard. I hope that what we bring forth in Masterforce and with gaming, we can reach out to a lot more people. And please come join us, share the experience. I hope that me and or Eric and Leo's portrayal brings more LGBTQ friendly people toward this, that show that you can, that we are out there and you can do this. And I hope to see you guys in the future.